Hi and welcome everyone. It has been so long since I have posted a tutorial, so I'm very happy to be able to finally get this one out. I am operating in a new house and that means a new tutorial setup. So I'm using this little stand here, but please leave me a comment below and tell me whether it works, tell me if the lighting is good, if the backdrop is okay, because I can always make some improvements, but I would really love to know what you guys think. Let's go ahead and get started making our simple Tree of Life pendant. So we're going to start with the frame of our pendant, and for that we will need 16 gauge wire. We're going to use about 6 inches of wire. And I'm going to use a ring mandrel, so if you have one of these laying around, I'm going down to about 14, and we're going to create a circle around the mandrel. And if you do not have a mandrel, you can use something else around the house, circular. A lot of times I like to use a water bottle cap or whatever bottle is laying around. It's going to be end up being a little bit bigger than what we're doing today, but that's okay. Once you learn how to do this, you can really play with a lot of variations. But for today, we'll do about a size 14 circle. So I'm going to let those two sides overlap. So it looks like this. And then we shall go in with some pliers. Find where you want the top to be. And then bend that straight up. And then to the other side. Sometimes this can be kind of tricky to get it even, but do our best. There. And then you can go through and if you need to, make any adjustments to smooth it out. We're going to make sure today that those are straight and close together. Sort of. Okay. Now here, another option is if you want to flatten this out, you could hammer it down or you could texturize it. I do that pretty often with my pieces. And next thing we'll do, I'm going to use a pair of bail making pliers. And you don't need these. You could use other tools and you could use like a pencil or something to wrap it around, but I have these tools, so that's what I'm going to use. I always tend to first bend it in the opposite direction that I want it to loop around, so that you can see then how this one, it kind of goes forward and then around, and that's going to help keep the bail actually like centered over the top of the pendant instead of weighted behind it. So I bend it forward, and then I'll choose maybe this size. Looks good. And then just fold them over. They're kind of pointing back towards the pendant. And for right now, we'll do more with the bail later on. Ooh, I didn't get that very even. That's better. We'll just go on and we'll give it a little trim. We'll end up fixing this at the end. All right, so there we go. Now we're switching over to 24 gauge wire, which is what we will use to make the tree. And in order to know, how much, in order to gauge how much I need to cut for the pendant, I just kind of hold it up here, put an extra amount on this side, and then make sure I have plenty to work with over here, because you will end up twisting it, so it's going to shorten it up a little bit. And then you do want some extra wire when we start to wrap it around, so give yourself a pretty generous amount. So I'm going to hold it there, and I'm going to fold that in half. And then trim it, and what did that end up being? About 6.5 inches. And I'm gonna fold it in half, because with this technique, we're gonna make this like pretty simple. This will end up being 2 wires. So I'm gonna cut, I think 12 of these. So then what I do is I just use that one to make another one and keep going. And I'm gonna cut, like I said, I think about 12 total. I have the 12 pieces cut now, so let's take the pendant. Now this way that I'm teaching you, this is when I want to do like a quick, easy little pendant, and I'm not going to put much detail into the actual roots of the tree. It still turns out very cool, but sometimes it's like you just want to turn a piece out, or I don't know, not do it as elaborate each time. So what we'll do is fold this in half as one. Ooh, I might need some pliers to squish it. And then wrap it. Maybe we can get through here still. Yes, okay. And voila, so we're attached around the bottom, and then I need to muscle this a little bit. I'm gonna grip it and just start twisting everything. Don't be afraid to get after it. You have to be careful that you don't like bend your base wire here too much. I mean, you can bend it back, but just start to be careful there. And continue twisting up to make the trunk of the tree. So we're going to end up folding him upwards like this. Oh, I guess I'm on the wrong side. There we go. So you can see now the beginning of my tree. Cool, huh? That's a very easy way to get started. All right, so now, and this is my first time doing a tutorial on this. I do tend to work pretty slow when I'm making the tree, because it's a really enjoyable part. So I spend a lot of time making sure it like looks just how I want it. And then you can start to see where your branches are going to be. I would recommend not taking the trunk up more than halfway, because then when you start to do all of your limbs and stuff, you're not going to have much for them to branch out. So about here, and then I will just in general start to separate the wires out into clumps that will be my limbs and branches. And now that we have our limbs separated, you can go in with a pair of pliers of your choosing. I love to work with these kind of needle nose, flat nose pliers. Oh, they're some of my favorite tools. They're so handy. And we'll go in, and from the base, we will start to twist these new clumps of wires. That's how we start to see a little limb, and then these will be all of the branches. Ta-da! And I'll go to the other side just to try to, you don't have to put symmetry into it. I'm gonna try today. Symmetry is one of the things that I am working on because I am really suck at symmetry. Which is why a lot of the times I create asymmetrical pieces, but I was doing a piece the other day that called for a lot of symmetry and I struggled, but I did get better. I think it turned out really nice. It's just one of those things that you got to work on. So we'll go through and do this for all the different limbs and play around with it until we have the tree we desire. We'll just go through and kind of squish it and make sure all the limbs are visible. All right, now from here, make sure you have all of your wires separated out because we will need to be, we're gonna need to put beads on these. All right, so I've got a few. Which one? This one always turns out cool. I think I'm gonna use this one. These are check glass beads that I think I bought them at a Hobby Lobby. So we'll just create a little seed bead pile. All right, now plan of attack here. I normally start on the lower limbs and branches first and work my way up and around. So maybe we'll just put, and it's going to be a little crowded. We have a lot of wires here, so we'll do our best not to overcrowd everything. So once you have that bead on and it's in place, then we're going to take this around the back side. Once, and let's do 2 or 3 times. What do you think? I think 2 because we have so many wires. So very important. We're going to keep these, instead of just doing like 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, there could potentially be lots of little gaps around the outside. So I like to have all of the coils line up side by side so it's nice and smooth. And then very important on the back side, I think this is super important because I've made pendants where I've cut this in the wrong place, maybe over here, and then it's really rough and it's easy to snag your clothing or your skin on this. So to make sure that doesn't happen, I cut this not flush. I give it a little space, snip it off, and you see how we still have a little remaining. That's good because that will allow me to take my pliers and push that down towards the inside of the pendant, and then you won't really be able to see it from the front, and it's going to be nice and smooth on the back side. So we're going to go around and do that for all of the limbs and branches. So you can see how I've sort of clumped this one all together before I tie it down. Make sure they all fit where I want them, and then I might go through and wrap the wires around the base. As you go along, if you feel like you're going to run out of space or you feel you're overcrowding things, just cut it down to like one coil around as you need. But that's why I start at the bottom, and as I get close to the end I can adjust to make sure everything's going to fit. And a lot of times when I'm working here too, you'll see on the back side that I save all of the trimming until the very end. So I'll go through, get them wrapped, because you just kind of get into the flow of it, and I feel like it goes faster this way. So I'll finish these up and bring you back. Alright, so now we'll go through and let's trim and tuck all these wires. So again, we're going to cut, leave a little, oh my gosh, sorry, kind of hard to see. Whoa, heads up. Probably step on that one later. Do all these at once. Cool, so it looks pretty jagged, but we'll go through and tuck them all in. Nice and smooth. You can always do the finger test. So we are halfway done. And now let's continue with the other side. So do the same thing. I'll start at the bottom and work up from there.
Is every
finished the tree. Got all the seeds on the limbs. And as you can see, as I mentioned before, symmetry is not really my thing, but that's okay. I like asymmetry. I did not get as many beads on as I did over here, but I don't know, I still like it. It's just not very symmetrical. That was intended. So you could be done after this. What I would do now, since we've finished, is you could go through and kind of tuck in or trim these up a little bit more. And then you could just slide it onto a rope, onto a cord. Or we could put a little decoration here, so I'll show you how I do that. For this we will use 20 gauge wire. And why don't we just go with like 7 inches or so. Ow. Okay, and then make sure those are where you want them. And then we'll take our wire and we'll wrap up with one side, maybe once or twice around with the bottom. All right, so we probably didn't need that much wire in the first place. And then you can either trim them off or put a little decoration. I'm gonna go one more around. This one I'm gonna trim on the back side. And then I'll just create like a little hook and tuck it and just make sure that it's not gonna snag on you. You could always do a little swirly or a hook, full hook. And on this one, let's see, should I spiral up or spiral down? I think I'm gonna spiral down. I probably don't need all of that. Now spirals are like a whole other thing. Let me know if you want me to do a tutorial on how to do spirals, because I have a few different techniques for doing that. For this one, let's grab him. And we'll make him a tight spiral. There we go. Very good, everyone. I hope you enjoyed following along with this easy little Tree of Life pendant tutorial. If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. I will be trying to put more tutorials out, especially now when everyone is home and maybe looking to get a little crafty and creative. Thanks again, everyone. Here's our pendant today. Post some pictures. You can always send them to me on my Instagram or Facebook page at the Siren and the Pirate. I'd love to take a look at them. A lot of you have been posting pictures of like your Viking knits, another ring tutorial that I did. It's just so cool to see your work and that people are following the tutorials and really getting into this. I love to see that. Send them my way. Also, everyone, just want you to know that we're all here together, and I wish you to be well, and I'll see you next time. Thanks so much.